Let's go from there to Stilfontein, and Ziniko Mhlaba is there. Ziniko, you're hearing the latest outside the Pretoria High Court, this bid now to get fresh supplies, an amount of 76,000 Rand, Veronica is telling us, already spent now on these humanitarian efforts to get food and supplies to miners underground. You've been seeing, from a very human perspective, what survival looks like for the miners, but also seeing the police operations there as well. So talk to us about how these two things intersect in, again, against that objective of bringing this to a resolution and finality.
Good morning, Emmanuel. From what I've seen so far, it seems as if the operations are going very well on the surface as far as the part of government, and in this case, specifically the Department of Police, in terms of being on the ground on a daily basis, but also being, responsible for ensuring that everything that happens on the surface is done within law and order values of South Africa. But also, they've also been very, very reliable in terms of the information, the latest information that is coming out from underground, as far as the people who resurface and share some insights in terms of what exactly is happening on the ground. And so has community volunteers and community leaders themselves. They've also been very reliable and very open. And I can say that the relations between these two sectors, the community people, but also law enforcement agents, they've been able to work together in terms of ensuring that they, in this case, police give community volunteers that space to be able to continue with their rescue operations using their own system, which is the rope issue. But also, you will see when a person is being pulled out, throughout that process, just on the surface, on top of that hole, you will have law enforcement agents being on standby in terms of having to search that individual, but also community members not impeding the responsibilities and duties of the police when they have to search that person who has to be searched and processed and be interviewed by law enforcement agencies. However, both sides have had the issue of not having control in terms of what really happens underground, whether that food which has been lowered underground does get to all the legal miners, especially those who have been deemed as critically ill. So both parties have failed to ensure that they've got control over that, understandably so, though. But as my colleague Veronica said, that there's a very, very systematic system that is happening and operations that are happening underground. One of the gentlemen we spoke to did say that at some point, they spend a lot of whatever they were getting underground, purchasing, food items from a spaza shop, which is owned by one of the ringleaders who are currently underground, but also did confirm that two ringleaders have actually resurfaced. So whether, police officers have managed to get hold of those two ringleaders, whether they were able to identify those ringleaders or not, but we can confirm that according to that gentleman, two ringleaders from the surface have come onto the surface. So usually when an individual is brought onto the surface, they are processed, they are searched. Some, especially the gentleman we spoke to yesterday, still had numbers of his immediate families. To some extent, he asked us to be in touch with those family members. So whether then those two ringleaders had some form of any document or any message or anything that can be used by police investigators to pursue their investigations, and also to be able to pick up that actually this individual is not an ordinary illegal miner. It is one of the people we can actually trace in terms of these operations that are taking underground. So today then the proceedings have been halted due to that court hearing. They are waiting to hear the outcomes of that court, which is going to be sitting in Pretoria, where my colleague Veronica is. And then also there's this problem of whether I must say that yesterday from midday up until this morning it's been heavily raining. So that has been the issue, and according to the weather forecast, it will be raining throughout the weekend. So I'm not sure then how is that going to affect these operations over the next 5 days or so.